In this challenge run, we're going to be playing as Clan Eshin and Deathmaster Snikch. Now, the goal here is to complete a world conquest and do it as fast as humanly possible, or scavenly possible, I don't know. We're going to be playing as Clan Eshin, which has main differences from the other Eshin clans, so it has access to the Eshin Shadowy Dealings. This is super important. I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but this one will allow us to do some pretty sneaky stuff. Recruitment cost plus 200% for all non-Eshin troops. Basically, slingers and gutter runners is what we'll be focusing on in the early game. Anything else, we need to wait until the later stages. Either we're going to have a lot of money, or we need to get their costs down by doing some diplomacy, which we'll cover later. We don't have to worry about defections, which is good with our lords. And then we do get Knight Runner and Gutter Runner armor-piercing weapon projectiles. So really, really important there. These units are going to be good in the early and the late stage. And as far as Snikch goes, he gets ambush success chance, concealment bombs, and melee attack plus 8 for embedded heroes. So we'll probably go for a hero stack on Snikch. This is on legendary and very hard difficulty. Everything else is pretty much standard. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Here we go. We start in Grand Cathay area, kind of in the center. So we start out with pretty standard stuff. We do have a poison wind mortar and a warp grinder. We get some other stuff in here too, like the Eshin triads. I don't really care for these guys too much, but they'll come in handy. The warp grinder is going to be super important, and the poison wind mortar is really, really good against multiple units. So we'll take full advantage of them. I'll go over kind of the strategy as we go. Now, first tip, I would say, if you're trying to learn some stuff, you should be able to learn quite a bit here as a beginner and as well as an advanced player. I spent a lot of time kind of optimizing the early first maybe 30 or 40 turns or so. So first tip I would say is to check your starting hero. So this guy is knowledgeable, character XP gain plus 75%, and then we get item drop chance for battle plus 15%, which is pretty good for a caster. We don't really want him on the front line, so we don't need any of those damage stat boosts, armor boosts, any of that stuff. But this will help pretty nicely. Very important for what I'm trying to do in the early stages. We need to have a sneaky hero right here. Now, you'll start off with a certain selection of traits on all of your heroes. You can also check to see if you're looking for a specific trait. So for example, we want to find sneaky. Nobody has sneaky right now, so it's not in the recruitment pool, which means if we clear one of these guys, so we can recruit and then just immediately disband him. And then next turn, there'll be a recruitment slot open for him in this category. We have a pretty high chance of getting sneaky because all the other traits are taken right here. If you see the trait that you want on another character, so let's say, for example, we wanted to find a weapon master. So we would want to recruit this guy, disband him, and then again, make another slot right here. Now you have 2 slots that are going to get filled. You have less chance of getting it on this guy, but you will have a 0% chance if you leave that trait in the recruitment pool. So if you want to get exactly what you want, make sure you either, obviously you just recruit it if you have it, and if it's not in any of these, then just recruit the one you have, disband. If you see it on another warlord, recruit and disband that, but also make space in the category that you want. So I already did this. It takes a very long time, so I'm just going to load. You can see it's same difficulty settings. It's legendary. We started with a sneaky plague lord and a disciplined. I wouldn't mind knowledgeable. Disciplined is pretty good too though, so I'm gonna just reload this one. I save scum the crap out of it. So yeah, first tip, save scum your starting hero and your starting lords, the recruitment pool anyways. So we're back in. You can see I haven't done anything. I just basically saved scum until I got exactly what I wanted. And this is literally the start of the campaign, so it's allowed, right? You can just exit. Basically all the other ones were failed attempts. So we have a disciplined caster right here, and then if we look at our lords, we have a sneaky plague lord, which we definitely want to hire. So sneaky is specific to Skaven factions. You get ambush success chance plus 25%, which is incredibly important, especially when you're attacking. Skaven can attack. Let's go over to this guy. So if you look at your stalking stance, you have a chance of ambushing an enemy even when you're attacking. Now your success chance goes down by 15%. So if we have sneaky on that lord, it basically negates that and gives us an extra 10% chance on top of whatever our base chance is. And most of these lords do have a chance to ambush. You can increase the chance. So 30% here, we can get another jump scare here is another 20%. So basically plus 50%. I think the base chance is like 35 or 50%, something like that. So it's actually quite good. So that's what we're doing with that. So our first turn is going to consist of a couple battles here. We will cover them just because it's the start, and I want to show you kind of what the strategy we'll be doing, especially while it's still manageable and the battles are kind of small. So we are currently at war with the Dimmed Suns, and they have 3 settlements, which this province has 4 settlements. We own 1 to start with. We need to take these other 3 to complete. So let's knock these guys out. Now, you will sometimes get an ambush here, sometimes you won't. It's probably close to 50-50 chance. I actually prefer not to ambush these guys. I'd rather just do a regular fight, just because the way the setup is. They're kind of bunched up tightly right now, and they do have some cavalry that we need to deal with, but it's fine. We can deal with it either way. So let's get in there and fight it. All right, we're ready for battle. Let's go over another very important tip, I would say. Anytime you are battling with more than 1 unit type, if you have all 1 unit type, you could just use 1 hotkey and then do whatever. I've got separate groups depending on what the unit is supposed to be, what their function is in the army, and super important to be able to do this, because when you're micromanaging, especially for Skaven, they require a lot of micromanagement depending on what kind of army composition you're using. This one in specific, I've got my main lord on 1, a caster on 2, the long range slingers that can't shoot while moving on 3, the short range runners which can shoot while they're running, melee troops, and then finally the mortar. So always make sure you have separates, because let's say for example if I'm trying to micromanage my lord but I need to cast, I don't want to have to move my mouse down here to click on him or find him on the map, select him, and then do that. Same thing with your hotkeys for spells and stuff. I'll show you when we get into the battle. But yeah, make sure you're very comfortable with your hotkeys and set smart hotkey groups for your units. So the plan here is to piss them off and get them to charge into us. On ambushes, if you're really strong, they will try to get out as fast as they can. If you're somewhat evenly matched, they will turn and fight you. But in this case, we do want to actually fight them. So let's get out there with our caster first. We want to cast on their cavalry. And then let's get up there with our harassment. So here we go. See, these guys are... Oh, our nuke didn't do anything there, unfortunately. So we want to keep our army fairly spread out, and then we'll be fighting while we retreat. I don't know what they're doing. But let's hit them with another nuke as soon as this is off cooldown, and that should cause them to come. Now, if we had our mortar right now, this would be a perfect spot. The problem is, I don't like having my mortar up front in the early stages of the battle, because a lot of times they just bum rush you, and then you need to fall back. Now, this is another pretty good tip for certain spells. It's better to cast at the back of a formation than it is to cast at the front of a formation, because this specific spell will skip through a whole formation. You can see we got 18 kills with only 1 cast. I cast it on the unit all the way in the back so that it would run through as many units as possible. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. They're not attacking us, which is fine. We'll cast a few more spells for free, and then that will entice them to attack. Let's go ahead and cast it on this guy in the front, and then maybe some of these will streak across their allies. Yep, there we go. See, it's like skipping a stone on water. Now, they're sending 1 unit to deal with him, which is good for us because we can harass this guy with our mobile skirmisher units. Snikch is in the wings, ready to go if they... I'm saving him for the cavalry because they do like to charge with cav. This is really bizarre. I've done this, not even exaggerating, 20 times. I've never seen them do this. All right, there they go. So they're not too happy about that. And that's going to skip through their lines. We're at almost 50 kills with this guy, so pretty good. Now here comes their cav. We need to be ready. Let's go ahead and move these guys back. I'm going to send this guy back. We'll just cast on him as we go. Our mortars are going to be back here, so we do need to fall back, but we want to put some damage in on their cavalry before we fall back, because the cavalry will just harass us the whole time. These other units will not harass us the whole time. Let's also drop a menace below on their archers. And that should... Oh man, they just ran right through our units. Lovely. Sometimes that happens. Let's get our Ashen Triads ready to go because they're going to be... Oh, and then they're charging from the flank with this guy. Alright, so we just need to fall back with everybody. That's fine. And this is why the hotkeys are so important, because I can do that really, really quickly without having to look or do any of that. And if you use the same groups every time, it just becomes like a muscle memory. Now we probably want to slow these guys down. Let's get Snikch to slow them down, and then we'll back off. So, oh, they're not backing off. Now what we can do, I really like these warp grinders. There's a nuke that they have, and it's just going to do a ton of damage. They're going to take some damage as well, but these are not frontline units. They can take plenty of damage, and they'll still be useful. So I don't care if they have 1 unit or 20 units. I just need them to get their damage out. As soon as that's done, we'll do our freeze, so nobody can move. And then we'll continue to pummel them. We have another menace below. Let's get it on the archer. The archer's the one that's going to do the most damage. And I don't want Snikch up there necessarily, unless we absolutely need to, and we don't... Yeah, we can just pull everybody back now. So there we go. Warp Grinder is going to start moving now. He's fleeing, that's fine. As long as they don't get eliminated, I don't... Like I said, I couldn't care less if they lose some units. And we're getting a lot of damage in without taking any damage, except for... Oh, wow, they took 20 casualties. That's actually kind of crazy. From that cavalry charge. That cavalry charge devastated our archers, even though they barely touched them. Right now we need to get... Yeah, order, switch targeting, and they're all running. Now, also super important, if you're about to win a battle, make sure you slow the game down. Get your... This is specific to any unit that's fast, but in particular, Skaven, their gutter runners, and the slingers are really fast. The slaves, not so much. Clan rats, not so much. These other units are really fast, so they can catch up. So actually, we need to make sure we get rid of this guy, and we still have to get rid of the hero. But I don't want these guys to get off the field, because they do have a lot of money sitting in them if we can wipe them out completely. There we go. They're done as well. Let's go ahead and deal... Oh, the Lord's done. So we can just chase these guys down now. I'm going to put everybody on hold fire. Super important, when you're chasing the enemy down, put your guys on hold fire. Especially the archer units. I mean, these ones are obvious. Archer units are just as important because they will just shred your own army. So like these gutter runners that can shoot while they're moving, always throw them on hold fire. Alright, here we go. And we want to get these guys to chase into melee and kill as many as they can. Because like I said, that's where the money is in the battle. This guy, yep, Snikch is going to chase him down. He should be able to handle that because he's faster. I don't know what we'll do with this guy. These other units, the triads are fast too. 49 movement speed. I should probably get them up there as well to help. Can't seem to catch these guys. So we're going to get 1 unit to chase this. 1 unit to go down here and try and grab some of these. This guy got lazy and stopped moving. There we go. Yeah, you can see he's not even going to get close to the edge of the map. Check around, nobody else. Looks like we're good. So we'll just run these guys down and then we'll finish this up. Here we go. So we just got 1,600 gold for that. Not bad. 10 food. Food is another mechanic we'll go over in a little bit. It's pretty important because you need to upgrade your settlements. It'll make more sense later. You also get bonuses and debuffs depending on how much food you have. And your storage, you could see kind of in the top, I wish I could put my mouse over it, but 62 out of 105 right now. We need at least 120 to upgrade a settlement to tier 5. So normally you would have to upgrade it slowly, 1 level at a time, and then build your population. Skaven Force, you can basically force a settlement up to whatever tier is max if you have enough food for that. So that's kind of what we're doing there. Now, we have 3 options here: money, replenishment, or food. We're going to be blowing through money so fast in these first, like I said, 20, 30 turns, something like that. Food we'll have plenty of, and then eventually money will be plentiful and food will be scarce. So at some point we'll switch over, but in the early stages we want more money. We also get unit XP for doing this, but yeah, I'd rather have the treasury for now. So we'll take that, wipe them out, get an item, and some missions and all that jazz. Let's go here and finish this other battle off as well. Here we go. Battle is set up and ready to go. I put the mortars on the hill back here. They'll have full range of this valley. As soon as we draw them in, we need to use these guys to take out most of their melee troops. They have no cavalry this time. So the real threat is going to be the archers. So we will focus on them first with most of our active abilities, and then our mortar will clean up these guys. Same thing with our gutter runners. Now, as I said, since they are the biggest threat, we're going to use Snikch to just immediately pounce on them. And then we'll use our caster to try to whittle their numbers down. Let's go ahead and get these 2, and we're off. Yep, and then we're going to cast on him. Let's get these guys up, and then pull these guys back. Now, yeah, they should ignore Snikch, and then we'll have pretty much free reign over here. These guys need to back out. And then as soon as we get a menace below, yeah, this guy's targeting him. So we need to get our main slingers back. Get away from their archers. And then as soon as we can, we'll do a menace below on the archers back here. Let's make sure that we don't get caught. There we go. See, the mortar's going to do some pretty good damage to them. We have some melee troops here just in case we need to throw them in, but we should be fine. Go ahead and get menace below on him. Snikch is still chasing those archers, that's fine. And look at that, skipped on him. One cast, did a lot of damage. Get these guys back. Right, and they're going to touch us, but that's actually fine. It slows them down. When they're low morale like this, low leadership, it's actually okay to let them touch a little bit. You'll take maybe 1 or 2 casualties, but it's going to slow the whole line. And oftentimes it'll cause them some morale damage. Now these guys are having a real hard time keeping them off. So let's go ahead. Oh, there they go. They're flanking now. They changed their mind. Let's get a cast on these guys. Right, they're dealt with. These guys should be dealt with. Archers are mostly dealt with. Let's get a menace below on them. Let's get over here, finish these guys off. We don't want our triads to take too much damage. It's not really that big of a deal because they will get a turn of replenishment next turn. Yeah, see, most of them are down, so let's go ahead and focus on archers. And these guys are still kicking. Jeez, man. They really don't want to go down, do they? Yeah, but between our caster and the mortars, yep, there they go. Now, again, I mentioned last time, get everybody up here on hold fire. I'm going to keep the mortar shooting for just a little bit longer so we can maybe narrow or reduce some of those numbers. Let's also get our Eshin triads to chase something because they're pretty fast. These guys will go down the middle, this guy up there, and we'll catch up to, whoever we can. There we go. I'm going to finish this up then. Alright, we picked up a gleaming pendant out of that. We only got 2 food, but it's fine. Now, we don't have enough movement speed to sack, so pretty much as the Skaven, you should always be sacking if you have enough movement speed. When you loot and occupy, you do the same amount of damage to the settlement. The only difference between these two, well, I would say the main difference between these two is if you don't have enough movement speed after you sack, you're going to have to spend another turn to attack it. They'll have some time to replenish the garrison, and it's just not good. So, but we will, because we loot and occupy first and we're not sacking, you do actually get some replenishment from it. So it's a pretty good way. If you need replenishment, definitely loot and occupy. If you need the cash, sack it first and then loot and occupy. Let's go with that. And we got a kind of a useless ancillary, but we can sell it for money or something. Campaign line of sight's not that big of a deal. Next thing, let's look at and talk about our build here. Actually, before we do that, we can do a shadowy dealings. So you start off with these shadowy dealings that you can deal with as Eshin actions and clan contracts. Eshin actions basically give you bonuses or resources. So in this case, we'll most likely take food because that's what we need most in the early stages. So it's going to cost us 1 Eshin action or scheme, and then we can target somebody and take food from them. It also, to be able to complete any of these, you need to assign it to somebody. So in this case, we want to do it on Deathmaster Snikch because it also gives them some XP. So we confirm we got 5 food and I think 500 gold from doing that. And it also gained another level on Snikch. So now let's go deal with his build. We want to go down the blue line. So Route Marcher, we'll max out Ancient Cunning, and then we want to put some points into his top line right here, the special one. So Jump Scare to get that ambush success chance. Contract Loopholes is going to give us reduction to upkeep and Hero and Lord Recruitment rank +3. So this is super duper important. These other ones are nice, but not critical. We'll deal with them later. This one sucks, but these other ones in here are pretty good. We'll get them eventually. But really what we want to do is get these 2, and then we want to rush down here, max out Quartermaster, and they get Renowned and Feared for more upkeep reduction. So you can see we get -10, -8, and -10 upkeep reduction. So that is basically -28, almost 30% off of all of your troops. So really good way to get a bigger army, or multiple armies in our case, in the early stages of the game. And then eventually we want to go down here and finish off Mine All Mine to get post-battle loot, and then chance of stealing magical items. After that, we'll figure it out. We could go down red line to boost troops. We could go down this one to boost our combat effectiveness. I don't really know yet. I've done both. They're both, it just depends. Yeah, both of them can work. And in terms of our caster, we do want to get scouting at some point, but we want 2 points into Warp Stars for this next battle because it is going to be kind of tough. And by doing this, it's going to reduce the cooldown by 50%, but more importantly, the Winds of Magic costs go down to 2, which is insane. This thing is such a good spell. And then in terms of items, we got Scepter of Stability, which doesn't really help us at all. We'll probably delete that at some point. Extinguish Phoenix Pinion, again, not really that useful. We'll just probably delete that at some point. Gleaming Pendant, we don't need leadership. I'm going to delete that and sell it at some point. And then again, Campaign Line of Sight, I guess we'll hang on to it, but we'll probably delete it as well. Now the next important thing is build order for buildings. We start off with Xingpo, which has a really, really good gem mine. If you see here, we can build it on turn 1. We can go up to tier 3. It'll produce 300 income plus 45 sacks of gemstones, which is a really good trade item. So that's probably worth another couple thousand or something if you get a bunch of these gemstones. So really good item to make money. But more importantly, we need right off the bat Night Runners, which we can already do because we actually start with a Den of Dreaded Deeds. This actually allows us to recruit Night Runners. But the reason we want to build a bunch of these hidden layers is because we want to unlock assassins. That's going to be our bread and butter hero. We need as many of them as we can. Village of the Moon has a building. We need to demolish it and build another one of these hidden layers. Every time we build a hidden layer, it gives us access to a +1 assassin to recruit. So that is it for the buildings. Let's go over here and do some research. So we'll start off on this top line. We want to go all the way down to here and then get monstrous plans as soon as we build the building for that. Most of the text in between, not super important. So this one's actually really good. Local recruitment capacity +1. Obviously, we want that. Income from post-battle loot is pretty good. Clan rats, we will not be using clan rats anytime soon, if ever. So that's a wasted one, but we need it to get to the other ones. Income from sacking settlements, again, very important. Leadership and missile, yeah, who cares? So again, wasted. But we want to get to all these texts that are locked behind buildings. So this would give us food capacity. I had mentioned before we want to get a lot of food capacity, and it also generates +1 food. So same thing here, volatile plans, +1 food. There's another one. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that generate food, and 6 that give you food capacity +30. So we'll probably rush most of those first, and then we'll start getting some of the other techs next. So that is it for techs. Let's talk about diplomacy. So in the early stages, diplomacy for Skaven should be used mostly for gaining money than anything else. So for example, these guys are undiscovered faction. It's a horde. I don't really care about them. So we're just going to join their war and they're going to pay us for it. 600 doesn't seem like much, but when you do it, 10, 15 times, it all adds up. So we're going to join these guys' war. Don't join war against somebody that's going to kick your butt that's near you. If they're far away, like Lizargs, I think they're up here somewhere. They're not going to bother us anytime soon. So really cool tip there is you can join wars, especially if you see people that aren't adjacent to you and won't be for a while. You can basically just farm them for money. And then later, we'll be able to sue for peace with these guys and then join their war against anybody that we don't know. So undiscovered faction, we can join this war. As soon as we sue for peace with them, we'll join their war. They'll pay us. So you can basically milk both sides of it. Yeah, only caveat there is you will accumulate a lot of wars and you have to be careful, be a little bit more smart about it. Like I said, don't just join every war possible because then you'll get people attacking you from weird angles and just not a whole lot of fun there to deal with that. Now, next on the to-do list, before we end our turn, we need to come in here and hire that lord that we were safe scumming for, the sneaky plague bastard. This guy is really tough to fight against, so good thing he's on our side. And I am going to be using a nomenclature. So plague, lord, so plague is what he is. Lord is what he, this is his designation for like the type, and then how do I say that? Type. So like they can either be a hero or a lord. So this guy's a plague lord, and then he is disciplined. Disciplined. So now I know at a glance exactly what he is. I don't have to go in and search. It just makes it so much easier to do that. And then we need to hand off some troops here. So we'll give him all these units, and I think we need to keep most of these range units though. We'll be hiring as well. Let's also transfer one of our night runners. I think that's probably okay. Yeah, let's get rid of one of the night runners. And then in Snikch army, we probably want to get, I generally like to go 2 slingers for every 3 runners. So if you have too many slingers, you're just going to get pushed back and you'll never get any damage off if you don't have a good front line. We don't have a good front line yet. If you have too many of these runners, you will run out of ammo quickly before the battle's done. You'll have to go into melee with these guys, and they're just not that good in melee. They're good in melee when it's appropriate, like when you've whittled down their stack to like 30% left. You charge them with 2 or 3 from all sides, you're going to crush them. You don't have to worry too much about taking damage. But in terms of, you know, if you're just constantly using all your ammo, you don't even kill everybody, you're going to be in a bit of trouble there. So we'll go with this. We can recruit an extra here just because we do have a research that's going to finish before this takes place. So we will actually get the full 5 units instead of the 4. So that'll be that. These guys are going to head south and take this. These guys are going to head east and take this. And then we are going to open up 2 fronts literally from the start of the campaign on turn 2. So aside from that, I think that's pretty much all we can do now. We cannot hire any heroes. Next turn we will, but not yet right now. We don't need any more lords. There's another thing we need to talk about soon, which is clan contracts. We don't have one yet, but in 2 turns we will. And these basically pop up. Whoever has the contract, you get a benefit with them. You get increased reputation, and then it's against one of the other factions. So you would get a plus with this one and a minus with one of the other ones. The plus is usually double what the minus is. So if you take every single contract, you'll eventually raise everybody's up. So you won't permanently be negative with anybody if you're evening it out. But you can see some of these bonuses are pretty bad. So Pestilence, you do not want to take negative contracts against them in the early stage because you'll be burning your food. You get -1 food per army, -2 food per army if they really don't like you. Some of these other ones are actually a benefit. So Clan Moors -4 control is actually really good. And the reason is we want rebellions, we'll talk about soon. So if we can get a positive mission with Clan Pestilence that acts against Clan Moors, that's like the perfect scenario, but you know, probably not going to happen. When you get to the higher tier, you can see you do get some bonuses: weapon strength for all heroes, control, recruitment reduction cost, diplomacy, all that stuff. Physical resistance, construction cost reduction, armor, research rate, food generation, and melee defense. So ideally, everybody should be at the top tier, which is what, tier 4? So we want everybody at tier 4. We'll be covering that soon as we get an actual contract to do. But I think that's it for turn 1. Let's go ahead and end the turn. So starting turn 2, we got a quest. If we win 3 battles against the Grand Cathay, we get a really, really good item. It's a special item specifically for Snikch. We also get food and money for it. But this one gives a whirlwind ability. It's basically a vortex. It's a small one, but you get in the middle of a formation with a bunch of units, you pop that, and it kills pretty much anything it touches. We also get armor-piercing weapon damage, weapon strength, and leadership boosts for anybody in that army. So mainly it's because of the Whirl of Weeping Blades. We want to get that as soon as we can. So really good quest to get. Right now we'll start off by going to Jadewind Mountain. You can see they have an army right here. Pretty good size, but yeah, they might actually attack us. We'll get in here and fight, and then if these guys run off, great. If not, we'll fight them next turn. Usually they'll run off and you fight them later. Yeah, it's really not a big deal. So this should be a pretty easy one. I'm going to edit this out. There we go, we got the win. We took a single loss. We didn't really take much damage on our heroes either. We got an Obsidian Lodestone, which is a very good item. So bury your hit points 350. That's actually really good. Very lucky to get that early on. A little bit of food and money. And again, we don't have enough movement speed to sack, so we're just going to loot and occupy. And that unlocks a right. So we get these rights. I don't use these all that often. I should probably use them more often, but we have option to do any one of these 4 once we unlock them. So this one gives all of our units and all armies snipe, stock, speed of 10%, and then night runners and gutter runners plus 20% for their missile strength. Pretty crazy bonus, 20% damage. This one basically makes it more likely to succeed with your hero success. Anything they do, like stealing technology, assassinating, wounding people, blocking. You get enemy hero success chance reduction of 13%. Anyway, most of this stuff's not that useful. The Diplo relations with Skaven is okay. We don't have loyalty, so this one doesn't work for us. And then this one is actually quite good, but you can only use it once every 30 turns. It restores all units in your army to full health and immediately returns any wounded lords or heroes. So if you have a bad battle, you could use this to restore, and it only costs 2,500 gold. The biggest issue is that cooldown. Once every 30 turns is pretty heavy. And then this one is the one I usually use most often, so it costs 3 grand. It lasts for 5 turns, and it has a cooldown of 15 turns, but you get 3 food per turn. Growth, not important. Control, not important. Recruitment cost minus 25%, that's pretty good. So food and recruitment cost reduction, these are both pretty good. But like I said, we probably won't use these too much. We could, and we have to unlock this once we get a full province secured. We can do it, but I don't know. I'll probably skip it until the mid-game or something. And we will equip that obsidian lodestone on Snikch, and we'll send him to the front. We've got ancient cunning maxed out, so next we need to save up a little bit. At level 8, we can start putting points into here. So what we'll want to do is save a point. So instead of spending all of our points as we get them, we want to get 2 points in here. So we want this one, and we can get them both at level 8. If you were to spend everything as you get it, you'll put this one at level 8, and then you have to wait till level 9 to get contract loopholes. But instead, we'll save one of these points, and then that should be good for that. Now, we want to get scouting. This one is going to increase our magic item drop chance in battles. So you can get up to 15% additional. I think it starts out at 10. So yeah, you can get up to 25% chance increase by having that hero in there with 3 points into that. So that is pretty much it for Snikch. Let's get him some recruits though. You can see right here, these are units that are Clan Eshin. I'd mentioned before, if you recruit outside of Clan Eshin, the cost right now is 200%. So super ridiculously expensive, but we probably want to get more slingers and then a bunch of the frontliners. Actually, you know what? Let's get an extra. Yeah, it's fine. We'll keep our ratio somewhat accurate for now. I think that should be good. So that's good for this one. Next turn, like I said, we'll probably have to fight this guy. If not, we'll fight him up here or something. But if there now for our Plague Lord, he can reach this settlement. We need to declare war on these guys first. I always highly recommend finding out who they're at war with currently and then going to them to get them to pay you. So they're at war with the Jiangxi rebels, which are down here. They are a vampire count. So if we go to join wars, we can pay, we can get the Jade Custodians a war through them, and then we can get them to pay us for it. So 732, it doesn't sound like a lot, but believe me, if you do this every single time, it'll add up. You'll have thousands and thousands of gold extra that you didn't have before. And remember, your gold compounds from the early game. So if you make a 700 investment now, that could turn into, 5,000 in income by turn 50. So everything compounds in this game. So the earlier the better. Let's get down there and fight these guys. And this should be, yeah, it says valiant defeat, but because of our unit mix, we should be just fine. So let's get in there and fight it. And I just realized I forgot to unpause. But anyways, it wasn't too big of a battle. We took some damage on some of these units that I don't really care too much about. Mostly just moving the mortar around, hitting them hard, and we didn't lose any unit. These guys are all not fully replenished, but they'll replenish next turn. So that's the end of that battle. So we will get 2 food, almost 400 gold. And again, we don't have movement speed to anything else. We're just going to loot and occupy. That'll give us some replenishment as well, though. Yeah, see, these guys should be close to max by next turn. Now, we need to get some recruits, and I think in this case, we're just going to go with Skaven Slaves. We'll rely pretty heavily on the Poison Wind Mortars to do most of the heavy lifting in the early game for this army, specifically. But eventually, we'll get rid of them, and then we'll transfer these guys over to Slingers and Runners. So that should be good there. And then we need to get to Vermintide as soon as we can, so we'll put a point into Pestilent Breath, and then Vermintide will be next. And then we'll go down, same thing, we'll go down the blue line, get all the Quartermaster perks, and then this one over here for more upkeep reduction. Now the other thing here is delete all buildings. We need to rebuild them with the hidden layer, whatever it is, so we can recruit these heroes. So every single time we build one, it's a +1 to capacity. So over here, we'll build another layer. This building needs to be destroyed, and we'll replace it. Now, this army should be just fine without extra heroes. We probably want one at some point so we can get the replenishment, but ideally we want those guys to be in this army because they need it the most. So what I'm going to do is come in here. We have, yeah, unfortunately some of these are not very good. So aggressive is okay. It gives us some offensive capabilities. Determined is kind of wasted. Character XP gain is okay and hit points is okay, but not really ideal. And then fleet-footed can be nice if you need a utility, somebody to get back there quicker. But yeah, I don't find it to be all that useful. Actually, I find it to be bad when you have, let's say you have 10 of these guys. If one of them's constantly out them in front by himself, it's easy for them to get picked off. So it's much better if they all kind of move at roughly the same speed. So what we'll probably do is recruit these 2 now, Next turn, we'll recruit another one and send him to go scout. It'll make sense later. I'll kind of talk about it. Like I said, I don't want to inundate everybody with all this info for the plans and the optimizations that I've done for this. But let's get these two. They will join this army as soon as he gets down here next turn. And then we'll have a good fight down here. So let's go ahead and rename these guys. Same thing. It's a little unfortunate here. These guys are going to be combat, and because they're assassins, I don't want to write the whole thing 5,000 times, so he's going to be a combat ass. And he is aggressive. So combat ass aggressive, and then this one is determined. There we go. And now at a glance, I could tell exactly what they are. So I know in the later game, we'll probably delete this guy, but maybe we'll keep the aggressive one. Like I said, it's not that bad. Determined, I'll probably delete at some point. And if sometimes what I'll do is just label them as trash or something, or temp. So yeah, you know, I'm gonna do this temp. Yeah, I'm gonna label it temp because I don't even care what it is. I just know I don't want it in the late game. So that's actually another good tip. If you're gonna do a lot of hero recruitment, which we are going to, and probably over 100 by the end of the campaign, maybe 200-300. It really helps to have labels so that you know exactly who is who and where they are. So like if you want to go down your list, you can see exactly what you have. Or when you're trying to level people up and move them around, you can tell really quickly without having to go in and look at all their stats. So that's that. Now there's a little bit of opportunity for diplomacy in here, but I'm actually going to wait on some of these. So like this guy, the Eastern River Lords, they are down here. They are, yeah, right down here. If I declare war on them to get money, they'll actually send their units all the way up here to attack us, like in this area. It's a real big annoyance, so I'm actually not going to do that to get a little bit of money. Also, if you want to be friendly with the Blessed Dread, which I highly recommend, just to make sure that you secure this eastern border, I recommend getting a non-aggression pact. So if you do it like this, you'd have to pay for it. So it's going to cost us 6 grand to do that. That's obviously not going to work. If we join his war, he'll actually do it for only 683. However, if we wait until turn 3, I believe he will pay us a tiny amount. But like I said, I'd rather not pay for it. So we'll wait one extra turn and see if we can get it. There's a few other things in here that we could look at. Maybe some wars we can join, but I think I'm just going to simplify it and we'll leave it alone. The other thing that I recommend doing every turn is kind of coming through your quick deals. So this is such, I didn't know about this until like 200 or 300 hours into the game, but quick deals basically shows you everybody from highest deal chance to lowest, and you can sort by whatever you want, but deal chance. So if you want to see who will sign stuff with you, you can see it at a glance instead of having to go one by one and seeing what they will do. You will not see certain things though, like if you want to join wars, you have to do that manually. There's other things that you have to do manually, but this is still super important. The main thing that we're looking for here is trade agreements with other Skaven factions or people that we're not going to be attacking anytime soon, and a peace treaty with any of these guys that we don't want to fight right now anyways. We just want to basically milk them for money. We don't have anything yet, but we will soon. And like I said, this will be a good profit center for us. So that's going to do it for turn 2, pretty much. Let's see, did we build? Yeah, we built everything we needed to. You could upgrade things like this hidden layer so that you can get these more expensive units that are better. We want to keep our costs as low as possible. So I would rather have the Night Runners instead of the upgraded version and the Gutter Runners. Like I said, these guys are better for sure, but they're a lot more expensive. So you can see right here, 130 versus 182. So that extra 50 gold times, 18 units, it adds up. So you don't need it. You want to have just enough army to win battles, but not too much so that it's overkill and you're wasting money. So that's why we're going to hold off on upgrading these. But at some point, we're going to get all of these to level 4 so that we can get this sweet little perk right here. Hero recruit rank +4 for anybody in this area. And because we have 4 of them, it's going to be +16. And we already have a +3 from our hero. So everybody's going to start at hero rank level 20 for our assassins. So anyways, that's what we're doing there. Let's go ahead and end turn 2.